My sister invited me to her graduation dinner, then whispered, "We didn't count you in, so you're on the corner stool." My mom just smiled and said, "We thought you'd be fine with scraps." I nodded, walked to the host, and quietly said, "Please transfer the group bill to their table. I won't be needing a check." 30 minutes later, my dad shouted, "Why is this $1,300? They had 12 seats and I wasn't in one of them. I walked into the restaurant holding a gift bag I picked up on the way, a bottle of champagne Riley liked and a note I spent half my lunch break writing. She's my sister, my only sibling. I thought showing up mattered. The place was packed. One of those high-end spots where everything is dimly lit and stupid expensive. They had a long table near the center decked out like a wedding reception. Name cards, menus, flowers. Every seat was full. My mom, dad, Riley's college friends, 2 of her professors, apparently even her roommate's boyfriend. I stood there for maybe 5 seconds and no one said anything. Riley caught my eye. She gave a small smile and then tilted her head toward a bar stool about 15 feet away. It was at the end of the bar, shoved awkwardly against the side counter, not even in view of the table. "We didn't count you in, so you're on the corner stool," she said under her breath when I got closer. I stared at her for a second, waiting for her to say she was kidding. She didn't. My mom looked over and added almost cheerfully, "We thought you'd be fine with scraps." And that was it. The whole greeting. No congratulations for Riley. No thanks for showing up. Not even a space at the table. I walked over and sat on the stool. No one even watched me go. I wasn't angry. Not yet. I was embarrassed. Yeah, but I'd learned a long time ago how to wear that like a coat. What I felt most in that moment was clarity. Like everything that used to be foggy just snapped into place. A server came by, polite, professional, asked if I wanted to be included on the group tab. I said no. Then I told her to do the opposite. Put their whole bill on that table. Everything they'd already ordered. Everything they were about to. I handed her my card, told her to start the tab, but void the payment later. Quiet, clean. I didn't order anything, just sat, listened, watched. They toasted to Riley's future. Someone made a speech. My dad told a joke that made half the table fake laugh. My name never came up. 45 minutes in, the bill dropped. I heard it before I saw it. My dad's voice loud enough to snap a few heads in the restaurant. "What the hell? Why is this $1,300? The server said something I couldn't hear. Chairs shifted. Riley leaned in to look. My mom was already pulling receipts from her bag like that was going to help. No one looked at me. I finished my water, left the gift bag on the bar, and walked out. What none of them understood was that they hadn't just embarrassed me. They'd made a choice, and they were about to see what mine looked like. I didn't hear from them after the dinner. Not that night. Not the next day. Nothing. No one asked why I left early. No one acknowledged what they did. No message from Riley. No sarcastic guilt trip from my mom. Not even a phone call from my dad pretending to care, but actually just fishing for control. Silence. So I gave them some noise. I took a picture of the gift bag I'd left behind at the bar. Still wrapped, still untouched. Posted it with no filter, no tag, just the caption. Guess I wasn't invited after all. It wasn't dramatic, but it didn't need to be. By noon, it was getting shared. A few of Riley's classmates followed me. We'd crossed paths at a few college events I actually helped her plan. Her old roommate liked it, then unliked it, then unfollowed me. One of her professors even commented, "That's heartbreaking," before deleting it later. 2 days later, I packed my things and left the apartment. What most people didn't know was that I was living in one of my dad's rental units. A converted space above a garage he let me use under the unspoken agreement that I stay useful, fix the occasional leak, mow the lawn when the tenant downstairs complained, and make sure the security cameras stayed online. Rent-free but not cost-free. I left the keys in the drawer by the fridge, locked the door behind me, and cut the utilities the next morning. No warning, no note. At 10:42 a.m., my dad texted, "Where's your rent check? The electric account's under your name and it says shut off." I answered once. Moved out. The unit's clean. Keys are in the drawer. Then I blocked his number. That's when it started unraveling. Not for me, for them. Riley's graduation photos hit social media that weekend. Fancy dress, cap in hand. My parents smiling beside her like everything was perfect. The kind of curated image that gets passed around to friends and old classmates. But something was missing, and everyone noticed. Comments rolled in. Where's your brother? Did Lester take the photo? No family pic with everyone? My aunt, my mom's sister, the one they never invited to anything, tagged me in one of the group shots and commented, "Wish I'd seen your face there." Riley deleted the whole post 3 hours later. Reposted a cropped version with a quote from some obscure novel about independence. A subtle dig, maybe. Or maybe she was just trying to make it look like I didn't matter. But the truth was they were scrambling. I stopped answering my mom's calls. She left a voicemail talking about a misunderstanding and how they didn't think I'd take it so personally. She said they were going to have a family dinner soon, and I was of course welcome if I could be civil. I didn't reply. Without me, little things started falling apart. My mom had to start managing her own online accounts. My dad had to hire someone to do his taxes for the first time in years. Someone who charged more than I ever would have. Riley had to explain to people why I wasn't at the one milestone event I should have been in. But I wasn't out for pity. I was just getting started. They were used to me being useful. That was my role. Unofficial but constant. If something broke, I fixed it. If someone forgot a password, I reset it. If Riley needed last-minute edits on a paper at 2 a.m., I was the one pulling citations and proofreading paragraphs. Quiet, reliable, and always a step to the side. But not anymore. A week passed after the dinner, and the silence was cracking. I got a text from Riley on a Wednesday afternoon. "Can we talk?" No context, no apology, just the same assumption that I was always on standby. I left it on read. That night, Mom left a voicemail. She talked in circles about how these little things shouldn't come between family and how I was missed at the table. Then halfway through, the real reason slipped out. Their accountant had quit something about a late payment, and my dad couldn't figure out how to refile his business expenses. She asked if I could just take a look. I blocked the number. They didn't panic at first, not openly. But I started hearing things. My cousin Erin messaged me on Instagram. Said, "My mom called her trying to get my new address." My dad sent an email with the subject line, just one question, 3 times, word for word. Riley posted a blurry photo of us from 5 years ago with the caption, "Always family." Nobody bought it. That weekend, I logged into every system I had ever set up for them. Every password I'd created, every account I managed. I didn't touch the data. I didn't delete a thing. I just changed all the login credentials and removed access. They weren't locked out of memories. They were locked out of control. The storm hit fast. First, I got a furious email from my dad demanding access to the financial software he never learned how to use. Then one from Riley's university email asking if I could forward her thesis draft because she couldn't find it in the cloud anymore. I hadn't deleted it. She just never backed it up, assuming I always would. Then came the desperate reach. My dad called my office pretending to be a potential client. It was pathetic. He barely masked his voice, asked for me by my full name, then hung up when our front desk asked for details. I got a call from HR an hour later. They were concerned. I filed an official report. The next morning, he got a formal notice barring him from contacting me at work again. That's when the tone changed. They went quiet. No more fake concern. No more forced reconciliation. Just silence until Riley cracked. One night around 11 p.m., she texted me again. "Please don't post anything." I hadn't threatened to. I hadn't said a word beyond the one photo I posted. But they knew what I had. The years of messages, the cropped family pictures where I was edited out, the group chats where I was excluded, the emails between my parents complaining about having to deal with me during the holidays. I kept everything, not out of spite, out of habit. I never once said I'd use it, but they were scared that I might. And that was the first time I realized something important. I didn't need revenge. I was already free. But that didn't mean I was done. Freedom didn't come with fireworks. came with silence. The kind of silence that fills the air when your phone doesn't buzz, your email doesn't ping, and no one's asking you for favors, massless conversations. The first few days felt unreal, like I was playing hooky from a job I'd never been hired for, but always worked. And then it got easy. I started erasing myself from their world one thread at a time. I removed my email from all the family accounts I used to manage. Streaming services, tax platforms, insurance login gone. My mom's digital photo archive that I've been paying for and maintaining shut down. My dad's QuickBooks account locked. Riley's shared cloud folder for her post-grad portfolio empty now, except for a file that said, "Back it up next time." They were so used to the machine running, they never realized who kept it moving. I didn't hear from them for days. Then came the flood. My mom texted from a new number asking if we could talk calmly. I blocked it. My dad sent 3 emails in a row, each more frantic than the last. First was about missing files, then about website issues, and the last one just said, "Don't be like this, Lester. You're better than this." That line stuck with me. I was better than this. Better than protecting myself. Better than refusing to be their unpaid, unappreciated technician / ass assistant / punching bag. Riley finally reached out again. No apology, just a string of messages asking why I deleted the shared folder with her resume templates, saying she needed them urgently and that this was so petty. I left it unread. But while they scrambled, I built. I bought a new laptop, started fresh, registered my own LLC under my name, the one they'd always downplayed as just tech stuff. I'd done half the financial back end for my dad's real estate projects and kept his systems running for years. Now, I was offering those same services legally, professionally, and clients started coming in. Some through referrals, others from a blog post I wrote about walking away from toxic family roles without naming names. People read between the lines. 2 of my first clients were acquaintances of Riley's. One of them even mentioned knowing my sister and said, "She's brilliant, but I didn't know she had a brother." I smiled and said, "A lot of people didn't." That same week, I received a formal invitation. Subject line, Olive Branch. Message, family dinner this Sunday. No drama, just love. Let's talk and reset. Everyone wants peace, especially now. I almost ignored it, but something told me to go. Not for them. For me, the house looked the same. The driveway still had the same crack that I patched 3 times in high school. Inside, it was just as I remembered, over-decorated and tense. Everyone was there. My dad poured wine. My mom lit candles she saves for company. And Riley greeted me like nothing had ever happened. The small talk started immediately. Vacations, weather, someone's new car. My dad launched into a story about one of his properties as if the last few weeks hadn't happened. My mom chimed in with recipes and made a joke about finally having the whole gang together. Riley brought up childhood memories like they were some sort of safety net. Then my dad said it, "We're still family, Lester. We don't want to fight anymore." That was his version of an apology, an invitation to let it all slide, so he wouldn't have to acknowledge any of it. I put down my fork, looked around the table. "You don't want to fight," I said, "but you also don't want to admit what you did." They got quiet. That kind of quiet where no one wants to be the one who blinks first. "You didn't forget to count me at dinner. You excluded me deliberately, and you didn't think I'd push back because I never have before. That wasn't a mistake. That was a decision. So was mine." My mom opened her mouth but didn't say anything. My dad looked down at his plate. Riley stared at me like she wasn't sure if I was serious or just venting. "I'm not here to fight," I said. "I'm just not interested in pretending this family is something it's not. If you want peace, stop rewriting the story." Then I stood up. No one tried to stop me this time. And the truth is, I don't know if I'll go back again. But I walked out of that house knowing they finally saw it. Me, not the version they shaped for convenience, the real me. And that's where the power came from. The week after that dinner was the quietest my phone had ever been. No check-ins, no fake, just thinking of you texts, no weird forwarded articles from my mom, pretending to be casual. It was like the entire family had gone offline at the same time. But I knew better. They weren't at peace. They were regrouping. 2 days after the dinner, Riley removed me from the only group chat I was still part of. The one for family holidays. I wasn't surprised, but what caught my eye was that she renamed it from family weekend plans to us. Subtle but pointed fine. They wanted distance. They could have it. I stopped calling my grandmother, not out of anger, but because she'd always played the middle, trying to smooth things over while feeding their version of events. Last time we spoke, she said I was being too intense and that sometimes a corner seat is just a seat. Couldn't even get mad. That kind of thinking was passed down like furniture in our family. So I cut her off too. That's when the real fallout began. One of my dad's properties, an office rental in East Austin, ran into trouble. His tenants had reported electrical issues. The city sent a warning notice and somehow he missed the inspection deadline. Before that never would have happened. I was the one who used to flag his emails, call the inspectors, smooth it all over. This time he got fined badly. The kind of fine that hurts more because it's public. He tried emailing me again. Hope you're well. Quick question about a property file. Can you just resend the permit logs? Should be easy. Thanks. I didn't reply. A week later, Riley posted a cryptic story on Instagram. A black screen with white text. Some people never grow up. People started asking her what happened. She didn't answer, but mutual friends started reaching out to me. Not to gossip, just to say they'd seen what was happening. One guy I barely knew messaged, "They always treated you weird. Never made sense. Good on you." It was strange. The more they tried to erase me, the more visible I became. Then I heard from my old neighbor. Miss Thomas, 75 years old, barely used his email, but called me on my work line just to tell me something she'd overheard. "I saw your father the other day. She said he looked tired. Real tired. Told someone at the market you were being difficult. Said the family was falling apart." I thanked her, hung up, and sat there for a while thinking about that phrase. The family was falling apart. No, the illusion was they were starting to feel the cost of what they'd always assumed was free. My silence, my effort, my loyalty. They'd used all of it like it was endless. And now that it wasn't, everything was breaking down. But I wasn't done. There was one more thing I needed to do before this ended. One last move. The kind that didn't just make them notice, but made them remember. It started with a box. I sent it to my parents' house without a note, no return address. Just a brown cardboard box taped neatly, hand-labeled in thick black marker, family records. Inside were copies of everything. Photos they thought were long gone, printouts of emails, the kind they'd forgotten they ever sent. Things like, "Don't tell Lester he'll make it about himself, and just keep it between us. He's too sensitive." Screenshots of group chats I wasn't in. My dad's tax records where my name was listed as consulting help unpaid. A flash drive with backup folders Riley used to keep on my hard drive labeled in folders like "Do not show Lester." I gave them everything they forgot I had. And at the bottom, taped to a manila folder, was a single note on plain paper. "Don't worry, I didn't send the originals." I never heard what happened when they opened it, but the reaction came fast. Riley emailed me the next day. Subject line, "You win." Message, "What do you want from us?" I didn't answer. I let it sit. That night, someone knocked on my door. I don't get visitors. I live in a coded building. No one gets in unless they know what they're doing. But there she was, Riley, standing outside the lobby window like she'd been rehearsing her face for hours. I buzzed her in. Let her stand in front of me holding nothing but her phone and a knot in her throat. "I'm not here to fight," she said. I didn't invite her in. We just stood in the hall. She told me things I didn't expect. That my dad hadn't spoken to her since the box arrived. That my mom was panicking about what else I might have. That they'd fought about it badly. She said they were afraid I'd go public. I told her I never planned to. She looked at me, unsure whether to believe that or not. Then she said something that did catch me off guard. "I was jealous of you growing up." I laughed out loud, not because it was funny, but because of how off base it was. She explained. Said I always seemed sure of myself, even when I was quiet. That I could be alone and not unravel. That I didn't need to perform for people to like me. She said she spent most of her life trying to stay at the center because she was terrified of being forgotten. Then she looked up and said, "You weren't the weak one. We were. That wasn't an apology. Not really, but it was the closest I'd ever get. Before she left, she asked me one thing. Can we not destroy each other? I didn't answer right away. I thought about how easy it would be to take the whole thing public, drop every receipt I had into a neat little folder and post it where everyone they tried to impress could see. I could do it, but I didn't need to. I'd already won the only thing I actually wanted. So I nodded. She left quiet. Different. I don't know what happens next. I don't think there's going to be a neat family reunion or holiday miracle, but I do know one thing. They'll never forget the time they made me invisible and how I reminded them exactly who I was. 3 months later, and it's like the storm never happened from the outside anyway. No more emails asking for favors. No surprise voicemails full of guilt and half apologies. No texts from Riley pretending everything is normal. It's like we all silently agreed to put the fire out by pretending it never started. But I know better. So do they? Riley left for Chicago in mid-April. I didn't find out from her. A friend of hers, one I didn't even realize still followed me, mentioned it casually in a DM. She's got a new apartment out there. Fresh start, I guess. No fanfare, no tag photos, just gone. I checked once. Her new social media has no trace of her family. No pictures of our parents. Nothing from the graduation dinner. Just work updates, city skylines, and a quote she probably doesn't understand fully. Some silences are answers. My dad's business. Bleeding slowly. The city fined him again last month. He sold one of the duplexes I used to manage quietly with no listing, no agent. Probably a private deal to plug a hole in a ship that's been sinking since I walked off it. He's still out there trying to act like the same man in control. But now fewer people believe it. As for my mom, she's doubling down on curated nostalgia. Her Facebook is all family recipes, grateful heart posts, and filtered throwbacks from 20 years ago. Not a single photo from this year. Not one that includes me. It's like she pressed delete on the part of the story where I stopped playing alone. But I know they're watching. Last week, I got a new client, random referral, someone in real estate. We had a short call, professional, to the point. At the end, she hesitated and asked, "You're not related to Frank S., are you?" I smiled and just said, "Used to be." She laughed, but I didn't. The truth is, I've moved on. I'm not angry anymore, not bitter. I'm just done carrying the version of myself they needed me to be. I live in a new apartment now. Smaller but mine. The name on the lease is mine. The business is mine. I pay for everything on my own and I answer to no one. I go days without thinking about them. Weeks even. Sometimes though, I'll scroll through the folder on my hard drive. The one labeled receipts. I don't need to look. I just like knowing it's there. It's not about leverage. It's about memory. Proof that I didn't imagine any of it. I haven't sent another box. Haven't made any noise, but I haven't deleted anything either. And that's where I'll leave it for now. If anything changes, you'll hear about it. Came through at 1:14 a.m. I wasn't even awake. I saw it the next morning while scrolling through my phone before getting out of bed. A notification from LinkedIn of all places. I almost ignored it, assuming it was a recruiter or some bot. But then I saw the name Frank S. No message, no explanation, just a connection request sitting under his profile picture. The same one he's used for years. The same smirk, the same blazer, as if none of this ever happened. As if we were just two professionals who crossed paths in a shared industry, not father and son with scorched earth between them. I stared at it longer than I meant to, not because I didn't know what to do. I did. I just wanted to see if it made me feel anything. Didn't. There was no apology, no sign of reflection, just another quiet attempt to get back in without having to walk through the front door. Maybe he thought if it was casual enough, I'd accept without thinking. Maybe he forgot who I am now. I didn't block him. I didn't respond either. I just let it sit there, floating in digital limbo. The kind of silence that hums louder than a scream.